Good afternoon and happy Sunday morning, happy Sunday day to everybody. Today I'll start my daily readings, of course, starting with, just for daily reading, May 26th, the power in the group. Our understanding of a higher power is up to us. We can call it the group, the program, or we can call it God. Basic text, page 24. Many of us have a hard time with the idea of a higher power until we fully accept the depth of our own powerlessness over addiction. Once we do, most of us are at least willing to consider seeking help of some power greater than our disease. First practical exposure many of us have to that kind of power is in any group. Perhaps that's where we should start in developing our own understanding of God. One evidence of the power in the group is that unconditional love shown when any members help one another without expectation of reward. The group's collective experience in recovery is itself a power greater than our own, for the group has practical knowledge of what works and what doesn't. And the fact that addicts keep coming to NA meetings day after day is a demonstration of the presence of a higher power, some attractive, caring force at work that helps addicts stay clean and grow. All these things are evidence of power that can be found in any group. When we look around with an open mind, each of us will be able to identify other signs of that power. It doesn't matter if we call it God, a higher power, or anything else, just as long as we find a way to incorporate the power into our daily lives. Just today, I'll open my eyes and my mind to signs of power that exists in my NA group. I will call upon that power to help me stay clean. And now the corresponding page in the basic text, page 24. Insanity is using drugs day after day, knowing that only physical and mental destruction comes when we use. The most obvious insanity of the disease of addiction is obsession to use drugs. Ask yourself this question: do I believe it would be insane to walk up to someone and say, "May I please have a heart attack or a fatal accident?" If you agree that this would be an insane thing, you should have no problem with the second step. In this program, the first thing we do is stop using drugs. At this point, we're going to feel that the pain of living without drugs or anything to replace them. Pain forces us to seek a power greater than ourselves that can relieve our obsession to use. The process of coming to believe is similar for most addicts. Most of us lack the working relationship with a higher power. We begin to develop this relationship by simply admitting to the possibility of a power greater than ourselves. Most of us have no trouble admitting that addictions become a destructive force in our lives. Our best efforts have resulted in ever greater destruction and despair. At some point we realized that we needed the help of some power greater than our addiction. Our understanding of a higher power is up to us. No one is going to decide for us. We can call it the group, the program, or we can call it God. The only suggested guidelines are that this power be loving, caring, and greater than ourselves. We don't have to be religious to accept this idea. The point is that we open our minds to believe. We may have difficulty with this, but by keeping an open mind, sooner or later we find the help we need. We talked and listened to others. We saw other people recovering, and they told us what was working for them. We began to see evidence of some power that would not be fully explained. Confronted with this evidence, we begin to accept the existence of power greater than ourselves. We can use that power long before we understand it. And next I'll be reading a spiritual principle of the day. And now, like I said, I'll be reading a spiritual principle of the day. May 26th, forgiveness, acceptance, and healing. Walking with the knowledge that someone has not forgiven us is hard, but through it we find levels of forgiveness and acceptance that we may not have known were possible. Living Clean, Chapter 5, Amends and Reconciliation. Over time in AA, we learn that we are worthy of forgiveness. That discovery comes in part as a result of making our step 9 amends. Part of our preparation for this process is to understand that why we're doing it. To make amends and last and change our lives, we must make peace with the consequences of our actions and the harm we've caused. While being forgiven by those we've hurt as a blessing, finding self-acceptance cannot be conditional on another's actions. We must reconcile with ourselves to heal from our past. Forgiving ourselves is not contingent on recovering. Forgiving ourselves is not contingent on receiving forgiveness from those we've harmed. Reconciliation may not always be possible. Though we may believe we deserve to be heard and forgiven, some will understandably stonewall our effort. What then? It's pretty hard to gain the courage to undertake this process, but then we have to be humble enough to accept the reaction, even as a flat-out rejection. That rejection may be excruciating for those of us whose self-esteem hinges entirely on being liked by others. We ask ourselves, am I even still worthy of forgiveness? How do I walk through this? No one is obligated to forgive us. We are powerless over other people's willingness or readiness in a situation like this one. We have one option for healing, moving forward. That may take time because rejection is painful. As hard as it is to accept, we have to find a way to live with the pain without inflicting it on others. We must try to forgive ourselves for the consequence of our actions. Not being forgiven is its own Not being forgiven is its own beast, and its own lesson practicing spiritual principles. The experience might give us pause This experience might give us pause the next time we want to rebuff someone else's amends. We may be quicker to forgive because we know what it was like to experience that wall. Sorry, I have a hard time reading with glasses. And how much effort it takes to live with that and let it go. Today I'll try to accept my past, move on from it, so others may not. All I can do today and every day is to do better. And now I'm going to read a couple pages from Living Clean. The journey continues. Okay, our self-made prisons no longer serve us. We are free to explore and discover what we're good at. We are free to participate, create, care, and share, surprise ourselves, take risks, be vulnerable, and stand on our own 2 feet. We find our beliefs and begin to act on them. We make decisions based on our values. We walk through fear and wake up to the miracle that surrounds us. We are free to be who we are and live as we choose. When we feel the deepest gratitude, we can look back and see that our path to the moment was neither short nor straight. What seemed like the worst decisions at one time in our recovery opened the door for some of our greatest opportunities later on. We may simply outgrow some of our decisions. What was right for us at one point in our recovery may not be right for the rest of our life, but it can be difficult for us to move on. Gifts can be wrapped in such a strange package that we don't always recognize them when they arrive. Nothing that happens is entirely good or entirely bad. We do not pretend that there is no mistake in recovery, but sometimes those mistakes can take us in a direction we hadn't thought of before. Recovery is not a standardizing cookie-cutter process. We don't all go through the process in the same way, and we don't all come out the same. But there are some familiar landmarks we pass. We have phrases and stages, concerns return, staircases recline. Each have had periods of intense growth and times also when change is more subtle. Taking a new way to live means that we have to live in new ways, and we can get confused or lost even when we have many years clean. Although each other room to grow at our own pace is difficult, especially when we care for each other, but self-acceptance and self-respect are the results of going through the process in our own way. That's it for the day. I hope you enjoyed the reading to the ones that watched it. If you want to like and subscribe, that's cool. If not, as long as you get something out of it, have a blessed day.